When 5-year-old Emma collapses, Dr. Harper Reed discovers her daughter needs an urgent kidney transplant. The only viable match. Damien Cross, the ruthless billionaire Harper shared one forbidden night with 6 years ago. But Damien has no idea Emma exists, and Harper never planned to tell him. Now, to save her daughter, Harper must face the men who destroyed her career, shattered her trust, and still haunts her dreams. What she doesn't know is that Damien has secrets of his own, secrets that could destroy them both. And someone is watching, waiting to ensure that neither Harper nor Emma survives. This is 15-minute binge watch. One story. One obsession. 15 minutes. Let's begin. The fluorescent lights of Seattle General Hospital flickered as Harper Reed stared at the test results in her trembling hands. Her daughter's kidney function had dropped to 15%. 15. The number burned into her retinas like a brand. Dr. Reed. The transplant coordinator's voice cut through the fog of panic. We need to discuss Emma's options. Harper looked up from the paperwork, her vision blurring. She had been a surgeon once, confident and capable, able to save lives with steady hands and split-second decisions. But none of that mattered now. She couldn't save her own daughter. How long does she have? Harper's voice came out steady despite the earthquake happening inside her chest. Without a transplant? 6 months, maybe less. Her body is rejecting dialysis. We've tested everyone in your family, your friends, the donor registry. There's only one match. The coordinator hesitated, her expression troubled. A 98% compatibility match. It's almost unheard of. Hope flared in Harper's chest for the first time in weeks. Who is it? Can we contact them immediately? The coordinator slid a file across the desk. Harper opened it, and the world tilted sideways. Damien Cross. Age 34. Blood type O negative. Tissue match, 98.7% compatible. The file included a photograph, though Harper didn't need it. She had memorized every line of that face 6 years ago during one reckless, passionate night that had changed everything. The sharp jawline, the storm-gray eyes, the cruel twist of his mouth that somehow made him more attractive rather than less. That's impossible, Harper whispered. According to our records, Mr. Cross registered as an organ donor during a corporate wellness initiative 3 years ago. His genetic markers are an extraordinary match for Emma. Dr. Reed, are you all right? You look pale. Harper gripped the edge of the desk. Damien Cross was Emma's father, though he had no idea Emma existed. Harper had made certain of that. She had disappeared from Seattle the morning after their encounter, moving across the country to Boston, building a new life, raising Emma alone. She had her reasons. Good reasons. I know him, Harper said quietly. I knew him. A long time ago. The coordinator's eyebrows rose. That's fortunate. A personal connection might make him more willing to consider living donation. The surgery would be relatively simple for someone in his condition, and the recovery time is minimal for the donor. Nothing about Damien Cross was simple. He was the CEO of Cross Industries, a tech empire worth billions. He was also ruthless, calculating, and according to the rumor mill, still unmarried and unattached. 6 years ago, he had been a rising executive, ambitious and magnetic. Harper had been finishing her surgical residency, exhausted and vulnerable after a 72-hour shift. They had met at a medical conference after-party. She had been nursing a glass of champagne, half hidden behind a marble column, when he had appeared beside her like a dark promise. You look like someone trying to disappear, he had said. You look like someone who makes people wish they could. He had laughed, a low, dangerous sound. Damien Cross. I know who you are. Then you have me at a disadvantage. She had told him her name was Grace that night. Grace Monroe. A lie she had regretted the moment it left her lips, but she had been too tired, too overwhelmed, too attracted to this man who looked at her like she was the only person in the room. What happened next had been inevitable and catastrophic. They had left the party together. His penthouse suite. Champagne and conversation that turned into something raw and honest and terrifying. She had told him things she had never told anyone, secrets about her ambitions, her fears, her dreams. He had listened like her words mattered, like she mattered. She had woken up alone the next morning with a note on hotel stationery. Had to leave early for a board meeting. Dinner tonight. Leave your number. D. Harper had fled instead. Because during the night, while he slept, his phone had buzzed with messages. She had glanced at the screen, unable to help herself. The preview text had been from someone named Victoria. The merger is complete. Reed Medical is ours. Her father never saw it coming. Reed Medical. Her father's company. The surgical innovation firm her father had spent 30 years building. Damien Cross had been the anonymous buyer who had orchestrated a hostile takeover, gutted the company, and sold it for parts. Her father had lost everything. 3 months later, he had suffered a massive heart attack and died. Harper had left Seattle that morning and never looked back. She had discovered she was pregnant 6 weeks later. Now, sitting in the transplant coordinator's office, Harper realized she had no choice. Emma needed Damien's kidney. Harper would have to face the men she hated, the men she had never stopped dreaming about, the men whose daughter lay dying 3 floors above them. Set up the meeting, Harper said. I'll contact him myself. Harper stood outside the chrome and glass tower of Cross Industries, her heart hammering against her ribs. The building was a monument to excess, 70 stories of steel and ambition piercing the Seattle skyline. She had called ahead, used her real name this time, and somehow secured an appointment within hours. His assistant had sounded surprised, as though Damien Cross rarely made time for personal meetings with strangers. But Harper wasn't a stranger. Not really. The elevator ride to the 68th floor felt like ascending into another atmosphere, one where oxygen was thinner and the stakes were impossibly high. The receptionist, a sleek woman with perfect posture and a plastered smile, directed her to a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Puget Sound. Damien stood with his back to the door, hands in his pockets, silhouetted against the gray Seattle sky. He turned when she entered, and the recognition in his eyes was immediate and electric. Grace Monroe, he said softly. Except that wasn't your real name, was it? Dr. Harper Reed. She forced herself to meet his gaze. I need to talk to you about something important. His expression shifted, became guarded. After 6 years of silence. You'll forgive me if I'm curious about the timing. There was no easy way to say it, no gentle introduction that would soften the blow. I have a daughter. She's 5 years old. Her name is Emma, and she's dying. The silence stretched between them like a chasm. Damien's face betrayed nothing, but something flickered in those gray eyes. Calculation. Assessment. The mind of a man who built empires by anticipating his opponent's moves. I assume you're about to tell me why this concerns me, he said. Emma needs a kidney transplant. You're a genetic match. A 98% match, which is almost impossible unless you're a biological father. The words hung in the air between them. Damien walked slowly to his desk, sat down, steepled his fingers beneath his chin. When he finally spoke, his voice was dangerously calm. You disappeared 6 years ago without a word. You were pregnant with my child and you never told me. Now you show up because you need something from me. You destroyed my father's company, Harper shot back, anger rising hot and sharp. You gutted Reed Medical and sold it for parts. My father died because of what you did. Did you expect me to call you for child support? Reed Medical. Damien's eyes widened fractionally. Dr. James Reed was your father. I didn't know. Would it have mattered? Yes. The single word was fierce, almost angry. Your father's company was failing. The board had been embezzling funds for years. I bought it to expose the corruption and save the employees' pensions. The board members went to prison. I thought I was doing the right thing. Harper staggered back as though struck. That's not what the news reports said. The news reports were wrong. Your father's business partners were criminals, and they controlled the narrative. I tried to reach out to your father afterward, to explain, but he refused to see me. Damien stood, moved around the desk with predatory grace. Is that why you ran? Because you thought I was the villain? Aren't you? But the conviction in her voice had weakened. I don't know anymore. He stopped inches from her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, cedar, and winter storms. Tell me about Emma. So Harper told him everything. The pregnancy, the move to Boston, Emma's childhood, her brilliance and laughter, and the way she loved strawberries and hated bedtime stories with sad endings. She told him about the diagnosis 6 months ago, the failed treatments, the deteriorating kidney function, the desperate search for a donor. She's running out of time, Harper finished, her voice breaking. The surgery would be relatively simple for you. 6 weeks recovery at most. I know I have no right to ask, but I'm begging you. I'll do it, Damien interrupted. Of course I'll do it. She's my daughter. Relief crashed over Harper like a wave. She swayed, and Damien caught her elbow, steadied her. His touch sent electricity up her arm, the same sensation she remembered from 6 years ago. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you. I want to meet her first. Before the surgery. I want to know my daughter. Of course. Yes. I'll arrange it. Damien's hand lingered on her arm. Harper. Why didn't you tell me? If I had known, everything would have been different. Would it have changed anything? You were building an empire. I was nobody. You were never nobody. His voice was rough, almost pained. That night, what we talked about, what we shared, I looked for you. 4 months. But Grace Monroe didn't exist. I'm sorry, Harper said, and meant it. Don't be sorry. Just let me make this right. Let me save our daughter. The medical evaluations took 3 days. Damien passed every test with flying colors. His kidney function was perfect, his health exemplary. The surgery was scheduled for the following week. Harper brought Emma to meet Damien on a Tuesday afternoon. They met in a private park, neutral territory, with Emma wearing her favorite yellow dress and clutching her stuffed rabbit. Emma, sweetheart, Harper knelt beside her daughter, tucking a strand of dark hair behind her ear. This is Damien. He's a very special person who's going to help you get better. Emma studied Damien with the solemn intensity only children possessed. You look like the prince in my storybook. Are you rich? Damien laughed, the sound surprising and genuine. I suppose I am. Does that matter? Mama says money doesn't make people good. Being kind makes people good. Your mama is very wise. Damien sat on the bench, bringing himself to Emma's eye level. I brought you something. He pulled out a small box wrapped in silver paper. Emma looked at Harper for permission, then tore into it with childish enthusiasm. Inside was a necklace, delicate silver chain with a tiny pendant shaped like a star. It's beautiful, Emma breathed. Mama, look. It was my mother's, Damien said quietly. She gave it to me before she died and told me to give it to someone special. I think she would have wanted you to have it. Emma threw her arms around Damien's neck, and Harper watched something crack in his carefully constructed armor. He held his daughter like she was made of glass and dreams, and when he looked up at Harper, there were tears in his eyes. They spent the afternoon together, the 3 of them, and for a few hours Harper let herself imagine a different life. One where she had told him the truth from the beginning. One where they were a family. That night, Harper's phone rang at 2 in the morning. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Dr. Reed. A woman's voice, professional and cold. My name is Victoria Slade. I'm Damien Cross's business partner. We need to talk about your daughter's surgery. How did you get this number? That's irrelevant. What matters is that you need to cancel the transplant. Immediately. Excuse me. Damien is hiding something from you, Dr. Reed. Something that puts both you and Emma in danger. If he goes through with this surgery, you'll both regret it. Who are you? What are you talking about? I'm the woman who's been in love with Damien Cross for 10 years. The woman he's used and discarded. The woman who knows all his secrets. Victoria's voice turned venomous. Did he tell you about the genetic disorder that runs in his family? The reason he never wanted children. Emma isn't just getting a kidney, Dr. Reed. She's getting a time bomb. The line went dead. Harper sat frozen in her darkened bedroom, Victoria's words echoing in her mind. A genetic disorder. Was it possible? Could Damien have hidden something so catastrophic? She spent the next day making discreet calls, pulling medical records, investigating. What she discovered made her blood run cold. Damien's mother hadn't just died. She had suffered from a rare genetic kidney disease that typically manifested in midlife. The same disease that could be passed to children. The same disease that might already be dormant in Emma's body. If Emma received Damien's kidney, she might be transplanting the very condition that would eventually kill her. Harper confronted Damien that evening in his penthouse, the same penthouse where they had spent that one perfect night 6 years ago. Did you know, she demanded, about the genetic condition? Damien's face went pale. How did you find out? Answer the question. Yes. The admission was quiet, defeated. I've known since I was 25. It's why I never planned to have children. The gene has a 70% transmission rate. But Harper, I've been tested. I don't carry the active mutation. My mother's case was spontaneous, not inherited. Emma is safe. How can you be sure? Because I had my genome sequenced after we met. After that night. Because I couldn't stop thinking about you, about the possibility of something more. He ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. I had Emma's medical records analyzed by the best geneticists in the country. She doesn't have the mutation. The transplant won't harm her. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was afraid you wouldn't believe me. Because Victoria Slade has been trying to destroy me for years, and I knew she'd use this against us. Victoria called me. She said you've been using her, that you're hiding things. Victoria was my business partner 5 years ago. We had a brief relationship that I ended. She's been obsessed ever since. She's the one who leaked false information about the Reed medical takeover to the press. She's the reason your father believed I was the enemy. Harper sank onto the couch, the weight of revelation crushing her. Why? Why would she do that? Because I chose work over her. Because I'm apparently very good at making enemies. Damien knelt before Harper, took her hands in his. I know I've given you every reason not to trust me. But I swear to you, on Emma's life, that this transplant is safe. She's my daughter, Harper. I would never hurt her. Harper studied his face, searching for deception and finding only desperate sincerity. I want independent genetic testing. For both of you. Before the surgery. Done. Whatever you need. The tests came back clean. Emma didn't carry the mutation. Damien didn't carry the mutation. The transplant was scheduled to proceed. But on the morning of the surgery, as Harper was scrubbing in to observe, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Check Damien's hospital records from 3 months ago. Room 447. Then decide if you trust him. Harper's hands shook as she pulled up the hospital database. Room 447 3 months ago. Patient, Damien Cross. Diagnosis, acute kidney infection, treated and released. Except that wasn't what the note said when she dug deeper. She found a second file, buried in the restricted database. Experimental treatment trial. Nephrotoxic exposure. Kidney damage assessment. Damien had deliberately damaged his kidney 3 months ago in an experimental treatment. Right around the time Harper's medical team would have begun searching the donor registry for matches. He had made himself a donor candidate. He had gambled with his own health to ensure he would be there when Emma needed him. Harper burst into the pre-op room where Damien lay on a gurney, already sedated but conscious. You poisoned yourself. To make sure you'd match. His eyes found hers, hazy but aware. Had to be sure. Had to be there for her. You could have died. I've been dying for 6 years, Harper. Since the morning you left. At least this way, the dying would mean something. Tears streamed down Harper's face. You're an idiot. I'm a father. He reached for her hand, his grip weak. I'm her father. I couldn't let her down. The surgery lasted 7 hours. Both procedures went perfectly. Damien's kidney was transplanted into Emma's small body, and within hours, it began to function. Pink color returned to Emma's cheeks. Her vitals stabilized. The monitors sang with life. Harper sat between their recovery rooms, holding vigil over both of them, the men she had hated and loved and misunderstood, and the daughter who had always been the best of both of them. 2 weeks later, as Emma played in the hospital courtyard under the watchful eye of nurses, Damien found Harper in the garden. Victoria's been arrested, he said without preamble. Industrial espionage, corporate sabotage, and attempted murder. Apparently, she tried to bribe one of the surgical nurses to contaminate the transplant. The nurse reported her. Harper's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. It's over. Finally over. Damien sat beside her on the bench, their shoulders touching. Harper, I need to tell you something. That night 6 years ago, when you told me your dreams, your fears, I fell in love with you. I've been in love with you ever since. I didn't orchestrate the kidney damage just to save Emma. I did it to prove to you that I'm not the monster you think I am. You're not a monster, Harper whispered. You're just a man who makes terrible, noble, idiotic decisions. Is there any chance you could forgive me? That we could try again? Harper thought about the 6 years of secrets and lies, the misunderstandings and pain. She thought about Emma, wearing her grandmother's necklace, finally healthy and whole. She thought about the future they could have, messy and complicated and real. I don't forgive you, she said, and watched his face fall. Because there's nothing to forgive. We were both wounded people making impossible choices. But I do love you. I've always loved you, even when I hated you. Damien pulled her close, and Harper let herself fall into the embrace, let herself believe in second chances and new beginnings. Emma asked me this morning if you were going to be her daddy for real, Harper murmured against his chest. What did you tell her? I told her that depended on whether he was brave enough to ask me to dinner first. Damien laughed, the sound bright and free. Dr. Harper Reed, will you have dinner with me? No lies this time. No false names. Just us. Just us, Harper agreed. And Emma. And whatever messy, beautiful chaos comes next. 6 months later, they were married in a small ceremony overlooking the Sound, with Emma as flower girl and a second chance as their witness. The doctors pronounced Emma's transplant a complete success. Damien's remaining kidney functioned perfectly. Victoria Slade was serving 15 years in federal prison. But on their wedding night, as Harper and Damien stood on the balcony of their shared home, watching the stars emerge over the water, Harper's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Beautiful wedding. Pity it won't last. Victoria sends her regards. And by the way, did Damien ever tell you about his twin brother? The one who's been dead for 20 years? Or the one who's been alive all along? Ask him about Marcus. Then see if you still trust him. Harper's blood turned to ice as she turned to Damien, phone trembling in her hand. Who's Marcus? The color drained from Damien's face, and in that moment, Harper knew that their story was far from over. Some secrets ran deeper than blood, and some mysteries were just beginning to unravel. Some loves save you. Others own you. If you crave dangerous billionaires and twisted romance, subscribe to 15-Minute Binge Watch. The next story starts soon. Don't miss it.